Okay, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mr. Blue here should be able to see, hear, all that good stuff. Welcome. TradePhantoms.com. Today's date, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. Last week, the final week of May 2025. Shout out to all the, happy holiday this weekend. Hopefully everybody had a safe and good one. Salute to the veterans of the world, etc. But back to business now here today, Tuesday. So spend about maybe a little over an hour with y'all folks in here, kind of go through a top 10 approach, trade the open a little bit here. Let's see what we have regarding the open. I will start this off a bit formally as well, as I always do, get this kind of out of the way. Just shout out to the folks that are kind of just like come visiting the channel. Demand and supply, institutional demand supply backdrop, the main thing that we trade at Phantoms. Top down, multiple time frame analysis, monthly, weekly, daily. Super important, even if you're a short-term scalper. Orange is a color code for monthly, so anything you see in orange in my charts has to do with that time frame. Yellow is a color coded for weekly time frame. Blues are going to be color coded for daily. I just color code my time frame so I know what I'm looking at there in terms of levels, supply demand. That is candlesticks, a bunch of fancy names, but understanding how to trade off of these and the location is most important. Bearish candlesticks, again, a bunch of fancy names. Location being most important. Okay. And then we got the liquidity map, which is awesome if you know what you're doing, putting that all together. I usually park that to the left, and I usually bring this up at least once or twice per day, give or take. I will go to the charts. I'll start out with futures. We do have futures up. We do have VIX. Yesterday was a holiday, of course, so today's being Tuesday, yesterday being kind of Monday. Futures were open for half a day. We do have VIX kind of quiet, slightly up a little bit. As the markets are up, VIX is slightly up a little bit. This one thing that I just wanted to have a key takeaway here, just really briefly. Okay, now when I say up, it's up. It's basically flat for the most part, right? 0.06 up, 0.06 up in terms of cents, and then we get to 0.29%. So we'll see, right? Just while I'm here too, I guess I'll map out the previous the overnight high, overnight low. So with that VIX being up, with the markets up as well, we have to monitor this. So I'm just mapping out the overnight high of said VIX, the overnight low of VIX. So if VIX up, spikes up, market down. VIX down, market up. There's a lot more to that, but in regard to the VIX and volatility complex. But to keep it simple, as an example, this was last Thursday. Okay, nice little drop in the market. Okay, VIX was up. Okay, so VIX up, market down, VIX down, market up. Okay, so that VIX holding a little bit of some bids and rallying up as the S&P futures that we're going to get to right now is up. It's not dramatic, so I'm not trying to dramatize this. Okay, but it's one thing that we want to definitely be aware of. Good morning, everybody here. Mr. Blue, should I only be trading the New York session and avoid the others? Not necessarily. Question from YouTube. I will say if you have to choose, I would say in regard to what asset class you're trading. I don't know if you're trading futures or forex. Those are one of the only or crypto as well. The overnight markets are open overnight. The evening session is a little bit more drier or less volatile, typically versus something like the London session at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when London kind of kicks up and goes. So you're almost, in my opinion, humble opinion, you're almost better off, going to sleep a little earlier, getting rest and waking up earlier so you can catch that overlap of kind of London and New York session. That's where you have, some good volume there. Sometimes you stay up late at night. Okay, and markets aren't really moving, forex and futures not really moving. Then you messed up your sleep pattern, and you wake up late the next morning, and you miss some good moves. So I would stay up late at night sometimes, but I've always found it better for me, at least. And that might not be for everybody. It depends. Everybody has a different lifestyle. To go to sleep earlier and wake up earlier to catch that London, New York. If you want to trade other sessions, are we live on other platforms? The screen is too small for me. Well, yeah, I'm on YouTube and I'm on YouTube and I'm on Instagram. So YouTube, if you go over to YouTube, it might be a bit better. Savat on IG. All right. All right, cool. Let's start off here with futures. The major four. I got the S&P on the upper left. I got the Nasdaq upper right, Dow Jones lower left, Russell 2000 bottom right, and we're up, right? 1.2 on the S&Ps, 1.35 on the Nasdaq, 1%, sub 1% on the Russell. I'm sorry, small on Dow. Jeez, and Russell 2000 1.45%. We did. Yesterday we were open yesterday in the futures market. We did put in a bit of a nice little bar. I'll kind of zoom in on this. I know it might be tough to see with all these lines and notes. Okay, but we did put in a little bit of a bar here. Okay, so I got the daily time frame, and this was last week had a nice little drop. I talked a little bit about the pro gap down on the S&Ps on the weekly time frame, and we had a pro gap down on the S&Ps SPYs on the daily time frame as well. I did talk about that yesterday in some deeper detail on our Monday prep session, right? So I can't harp on it too much right now. We get to 20, 30, 35 minutes before the market opens, okay? But I will say this is Friday's bar, 523, right, before the holiday weekend, okay? This is Friday's bar, and we're already kind of trading above that, okay? Little green bar here, green bar kind of trading above that right now at the moment. The highs right now is 59.12, 13-ish, give or take. We're a little bit off of that. Here's the low. Okay, we've got a nice little green bar. If that holds and sustains, okay, and we get some movement, okay, we could get potentially, this is a nice little pullback off that 20-pay moving average, okay, as well. All right, markets. We talked a bit about this yesterday. How we're still in this kind of a grind, higher, low sequence, at least on the daily time frame. And so that was a nice little pullback that we got last week. Sub 2.5%, give or take. Okay, pull back into some decent levels here, right? Of course, there's better levels lower if we do go lower, okay? But already put in that green bar. If this were to hypothetically close, which is not right now, of course, but we have the whole trading session to trade through here, right? We're just beginning this week. That would be what's called a positive COG, green bar take out red, buyers taking out sellers here if that would hold and sustain, okay? Which could be a signal, if you will, to potentially have this market kind of catch some more bids higher. Okay, this week, we do have as well. I mentioned this in our prep session. Core durable goods, CB consumer confidence that just came out. Tomorrow we do have FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. Okay, Thursday prelim GDP, unemployment claims, pending home sales. Friday core PCE. Okay, so usually I do check the news just really quickly for us. But fielding some questions here, all good. And so we did have already core durable goods that came out. Okay, and now that already came out about sub 30 minutes ago, right? We do have consumer confidence at 10 a.m. Eastern, so that's something that we want to put on our radar too, because that's going to be 30 minutes after the market opens here today. So that could kind of affect a little bit of some movement in regard to 30 minutes past open, right? So definitely want to put that on your radar. All right, so holding up some bids, at least for right now. We're going to map out our Globex high, Globex low, and sift out levels of demand and supply regarding that. Okay, and I'll get to the SPYs and the Qs as well on this. Let me go to NASDAQ first, just to show you NASDAQ on a daily time frame futures. Okay, daily time frame. And if I could, kind of zoom in, same thing. So far we're trading above, this red bar here from Friday. Okay, great. And we did have a couple levels down in here, below here. Okay, NASDAQ came in, liquidity sweep 20,813, right below that daily low. As mentioned, these levels kind of beat up a little bit, so we're kind of expecting this to drop down a little bit more. Okay, came down into a level. We have another level down here, 20,552. Okay, then we got the 20,370, and we still have that unfilled gap on the S&P futures and NASDAQ futures. Here's NASDAQ here from early May, from May 9th to 5/12 May 12th. Okay, so we still have to put that on the radar, but right now we are trading above that previous daily high. So I'm going to drop down to the 60-minute time frames and map out our Globex traps. So we got the monthly here, weekly here, daily here, just to give some folks the lay of the land. Yeah, YouTube might just be a little bit better. Screen's better. And let's see, 60-minute time frame upper left, 30-minute time frame bottom left, 5-minute here, followed by the 2-minute time frame here, multiple time frame analysis. Pop open the 60-minute time frame. All right. And man, it's kind of crazy how I have all these chats and TED Talks, etc., about these liquidity sweeps and levels. And as you can see, right above and below levels, it just sweeps, right? So it's one of the things I train Phantoms traders in regard to. All right, too much for right now. All right, but if I were to just map out our Globex high, oops, represented by this blue line, 1 hour time frame, S&P futures here. There's the Globex high, overnight high. I think there's some kind of graze that out for us. Overnight low, okay, right here. And what we're looking for is, above a Globex high, do I have supply for what's called a Globex trap, okay? And we do, right? So if I take this level right in here, okay, there's a supply level, okay, a rally, a basing, and a nice little drop here. And that is above this Globex high here, right? So this price point comes in at, call it 59, about 43, give or take. And this level was from last Wednesday, right? May 21st. Okay, had a nice drop out of there. Okay, so this could potentially be used for a G trap short today. I'll just round up to 59.45 G trap short. Globex high, break the Globex high into supply, could trap some late buyers, okay, trapping them as they buy up into a supply level. All right, now this level is super obvious, okay? So on the upper end of this supply level is price point 59.57, right? So be careful with that because it could be a bit of a liquidity sweep, okay? So you might want to put your stop loss not so tight here, okay? So I would reference that 59.60 as well, okay, up there for liquidity sweep. As you can see right here, we had a level drop, base drop, and I had mentioned right above that 59.08, okay? It could be a little bit of a liquidity sweep in the high, and they swept it right in the high today so far as 59.12. So they already kind of showcased that that they could pump this, right? So some nice open space potentially here. All right, we'll see if we can maybe fill that. If we're long, okay, if let's say this market opens, we get long here, right? And let's just say we're long. As we get up here, okay, at first we're going to be starting to take some profit, right? Take some profit from longs, book some gains, and then you could potentially start to leg in to potentially what's called a mean reversion short. Okay, mean reversion short. Okay. Right now we do have futures, of course. Up. Okay, this is yesterday we did put in a little bit of an up day, right? If you include all overnight from Sunday evening, holiday, right, and then a half day yesterday on the regular trading hours, closed at 1 p.m. And then futures just faded down lower all morning today, and then we had a nice little pop up. That white line right there is VWAP. Okay, so right now we're just balanced right now. So we have a nice little higher high, pull back here, balance. So that could potentially catapult this market to go higher. However, what if we don't? What if we don't go higher? Well, if I look down and left below the Globex low, okay, what I'm going to look for is institutional level of demand for a Globex trap long. Okay, and we do have a bit of something here. Now this is kind of Sunday evening push. Okay, so I want to be a little cautious with this level. Okay, but because of it's kind of a Sunday holiday, probably not a lot of volume trading, right? So like low volume level here. So I want to be extremely careful. So I'm going to put an asterisk on this to know that, okay, this is a level of demand visually on the chart, but this is an aggressive demand level due to the time that it's made. Okay. About 58.21-ish handle. All right, I'm going to clean this up a little bit. These were like kind of levels that I was looking for the sweeps, sweep, whoop, sweep, whoop, right? So I'll delete these just for now. I usually keep the boxes on for reference for trolls online and things like that. So that's pretty much it so far. I mean, that's pretty much the lay of the land, at least for right now. Okay, so 45, 50 handle and 21 handle. We're kind of mid there right now. I know some folks might be looking to get a little bit more aggressive if you're trained up a little bit more within Phantoms. There could be a little G trap right there. It's still at 58, 55, so I kept that line level there. Okay, and of course, we might not break the Globex low, so we do have some smaller time frame demand levels. We want to be careful with these because inside of the Globex level, inside of the Globex session, but we could reference these bottom levels, lower end of the Globex. Okay, so you could reference that a bit more aggressive. Right, but if you're trained up, you're looking for. Comes in about 58, 70 handle, call it. All right. Do not put your stop loss right below Globex low because that's literally what we're trying to do is attack that Globex low. All right, I'm going to do NASDAQ a bit more quicker. We got 25 minutes before open. All right, that's an aggressive one there. All right, and this will be interesting too because we have we have a red bar here. So if S&P's reclaim 5,900 futures, reclaim above and close above 5,900, that could be a positive COG, which again could catapult this market a bit more up. Okay, VIX would need to be kind of calm its butt down a bit here and go lower for that to potentially be the case. All right, NASDAQ futures. All right, G-trap, literally supply, G-trap right above here, liquidity sweep as mentioned, right? That's what the Globex high is right now. All right, nice little pullback, Globex low. Here, I think it's about time to clean this up a little bit here. All right, NASDAQ dipped into a nice little level, swept that level right there, dipped into the second level. Great, now we're here, G-trap up here. I'm just gonna take this line, save some time. Right here, here's G-trap, already have the level kind of mapped out. Boing, done, 21,510. Next level higher, G-trap short. If long TP up here, take profit. We can start to begin to leg into a short. At least for day trading wise. Joe Frank, well respected Phantom member, already given us the good stuff with Gamma. Nice, I'm going to check that out. All right, level below Globex low. Again, we could reference. I'll keep that 21,890 there. There's a little bit of a rally-based rally in there, but this could also be a bit of aggressive. Remember, same thing with futures, the S&P futures, that is, where this level was developed late night, Sunday on a holiday weekend. So be extremely careful with this 20,985 handle on lower here. Aggressive demand. All right, Globex low. So we'll see again. Positive COG could be taking effect here. Bounce off VWAP, right? Impulse new high, correction. Whatever the books would say, flag pattern here, if we will. If we break, that could potentially catapult. All right, let's see. Gold came down lower, GLC, right? So monthly, weekly, daily, these charts are insane right now with all the notes. You can rewind some of the past recordings on YouTube on this, but going to be interesting. We kind of hit these targets here. We kind of dropped down, so gold's down, right? So we had a nice little green bar close, right, off the 20, and that's kind of today, right, or this daily time frame on the right. It's kind of hovering and back, giving back most of that, right. This could be a negative, an engulfing bar negative here, but it's not done just yet. Okay, I'm still expecting a bit more of a range on gold, just because of the way that it's trading right now. Okay, massive rally. Pull back into this basic impulse right there. Right, tested it, couldn't fail to make a new high right here. Pull back, bit of a liquidity sweep right there, fakey breaky. All right, mother bar break last week. Okay, we do have a positive COG close given last week right here in this green bar, out taking the prior weekly bar red. Okay, and then we closed basically on highs for last week, but this kicking off this week, kind of giving back a lot of that right now at the moment. Okay, but if this level does get taken out, we could come back down and test these lower range levels as well. Okay, I'm not going to speak too much in regard to this weekly level just yet, because we have to, clear. We have to clear this, this low right there, fakey breaky. They already trapped some traders down here, some short sellers. Okay, and ripped back up. Okay, so this weekly level would definitely need to be, it has some still work to do, of course, to get down here. Okay, so global high, global low. If I go to the 60-minute time frame, doing the same kind of work here. Okay, 20 minutes before open. So I'm going to try to do this a little bit more quick here. Here is the Globex low. We kind of put that in already off this level. Okay, now there could be a bit of a liquidity sweep right here. Okay, there's a couple levels of gold down in here. So remember, this is a long trading day. That's not closed yet. That daily bar is not closed yet. Okay, kind of giving back a lot of what it did on Friday or late last week. Okay, but we got some levels down here that it could poke down into. Okay, 32.44. Got a retest level from this was a mother bar high. Okay, retest level 32.56. So we got some stuff down in here. If it does happen to swipe below today's Globex low, kind of snaps this level. Okay, maybe trap some bearish traders. Okay, away from the mean. Okay, and then it gets snapped right back in. Okay, and that's what it's been doing. This is the Globex sweep. I'm sorry, the sweep in the daily over here. Right, broke a level, caught some traders, rallied back up. Okay, so that could be taking effect below this level, call it 32.80. Okay, and in the gold futures here, potentially today or if not tomorrow. Okay, so 32.55s, 32.40s. Then I got another demand zone right down here as well at 32.20s. Okay, so stay diligent on gold here. All right, for the record, I'm still in a GLD diagonal spread on options. For the record, all right, took some nice, decent profit on it last week with the team, and if we come lower on GLD into some of these levels, we'll look to maybe even add some more risk to that. Okay, all other things being equal. Okay. All right, cool. Now we got 12 minutes, 15 minutes before open, give or take. I'm gonna do this now, SPYs. So I got weekly on the left and I got daily on the right. It seems crazy with all these notes. All right, on Monday we kind of kick off a prep session that I host for the team at Phantoms, where I go over kind of the higher time frames, monthly, weekly, daily. So we spend a lot of time just on the high time frames, kind of mapping out, macro things, right? This morning we're going to be going drop down to the smaller time frames in day trading. Okay, but that's why you see a lot of orange, yellows, and blues, right? Anyways, last week's high here, last week's low here. So we did a whole session on that, right? We got yesterday's high here, yesterday's low here. And as you can see, pre-market quote on SPYs. This is SPYs here, daily time frame on the right, 587. So we're gapping up, right? We closed here. We are gapping up above prior day's high, and even gapping up this. If this were to hold for the next 17 minutes, give or take, we're gapping up above even Thursday's high. So this is Friday's high because yesterday being Monday, a holiday. Okay, and Thursday's high. So we're gapping up above two daily highs. So pretty interesting here. Now these yellow, these yellow kind of lines right here is weak VWAP. So we are gapping up into last week's VWAP, already kind of mean reverting everything that we did last week on this bigger drop that we had. Okay, or at least it's not massive, 2-3%, nothing too crazy here, right? All right. I know retail traders were coming in. They record breaking $4.1 billion on last Monday on the 19th. So I knew Wall Street was going to be coming after that money. Okay, so got into some puts last week. Okay, but we'll see about this week now, right? I cleared those because we're still battling this upward move. All right, so I kept gold, got out of SPYs to clear my week, and here we are, right? So we're gapping up. Now I'm going to go over here to the SPX, and what is it? Gap up roughly what one, futures at 1.4%, give or take, right? 1.3. We'll go over to SPX and Y because I'm going to get around the price of where the SPX open about roughly 58, call it 80, 85, give or take 5-10 points, no big deal here. Okay, if I'm off a little bit there, if we move a little bit in 15 minutes, so 58.85. I'm going to options depth over here. This is extremely hard to explain. You have to know how things work here, but I'm going to take that number, 58.85, and see, okay, at or around where is that going to be gapping up into, so I can get what's called market maker exposure on this GEX. Okay, so 58.85. 58.85, and we're gapping up about right. 58.85 about right here, give or take. And this is noteworthy. Why? Because if you notice, right above 58.85, we have a 5,900 even price on the SPX. Okay, and there's a green, blue, right? Green, which is a high peak gamma node here. Okay, and it's a little got some blue shaded in there as well. So it's a high peak gamma node. So as we rally up, okay, market makers are going to be selling into this 5,900 level. Okay, now Joe Frank was already mentioning 5,800. Okay, now 5,800 has a bit of a negative gamma node down in here. Okay, also 5850 has another small one right down here as well. As you notice, above price, it's a little darker kind of green up here with some blues. Below price, it's kind of like whitish and yellow. So there's a little bit of some light GEX below current price. So as we're gapping up into the 58.85s, okay, we have this thing that we're kind of, I don't know, I guess it's catching on a little bit. Hot pockets, right? Like the food hot pocket, right? When you don't feel like cooking, you just throw a hot pocket and then you feel gross about yourself because they're so unhealthy, right? But you don't feel like cooking, you just need something to eat real quick, right? So throw in a hot pocket for 2 minutes, right? And it's too early to be talking about hot pockets right now, right? For breakfast, that's gross. But what I'm looking for is a hot pocket, meaning a little red or yellow negative GEX node where prices could sift through that. Okay, so if we can get below 58.60 on the downside, there's a little bit of a negative GEX node right here at 58.50. Okay, there's a big one at 5,900, but we got a couple things to cross below that, right? So one of the things that we've been kind of doing here in the room, in the live trade rooms, and this is more advanced, so I might be losing majority of folks. I apologize for that, but it just is what it is. I'm going to do our work. A little more about that at Phantoms, right? But I'll map that out. So we have this 50, what was it? 50, I'll call it 50. I'll go to 59.60 to 59.40. There's a bit of a hot pocket of negative GEX below there. So 60 to 40. All right. So I'll just kind of put a red box around this area. Okay, it's a small pocket. Now, I'm not exaggerating this, right? So I want to emphasize small negative gamma pocket. Okay, and then I also want to note that there is and Joe Frank is absolutely right too. There's another little hot pocket down here. We got some things to cross before we get down here, but I will make a note of that right here as well. Now you got to know how options work and how not only how options work, option Greeks work, and how market makers need to hedge. So it's a whole thing that takes hours of understanding. We have lessons and things like that on this. This is a small positive gamma node here. So even with this gap up, okay, as we're gapping up into the 58.85, okay, just because we're gapping up doesn't mean that we're just going to explode up and this market's going to go up. Okay, I could see something here where, and I don't want to trade what I think, right? I'm going to see how as we gap up, okay, and we could potentially have a rally up into that 5,900 area, okay, in that positive gamma node at 5,900, okay, and that's going to provide some supply or resistance, okay. Understand? Just just have to just know how to work this thing here, right? So that would be interesting there. So we can potentially get long right off the open potentially if we get a positive COG on the small time frames, okay. However, be extremely cautious on that 5,900 handle on the SPX up there, okay, positive gamma node. All right, cool. So I think I butchered that enough there. Go over to Qs. Island gap. I think Apple's doing an island gap today. Island gap. So we have prior day's close here. Okay. Well, this is the prior day's close here, right? This is last Friday, right? So you can see we had a gap. We had a close here. We had a gap down, right, and it unfilled, right? So there's still unfilled gap. And then this morning we closed. Right, this morning we have a gap up. So this is Apple is on an Apple on Friday. This Apple candle down here is on an island by itself. It's surrounded by water on both ends. So this would be a gap up. So once this bell opens right here, okay, this is a gap down, right, unfilled, and then we're gapping up above that. This is an island. This would be the island candle, so island gap. Okay, unfilled gaps here. All right, hopefully that makes sense. All right. Google, same thing, island gap as well. Now Google's been a little bit relatively stronger than Apple, at least for the time being. All right. Qs. I missed this trade on Friday when I was doing my weekend work. I can't believe I missed this gap down on Qs right into monthly VWAP, but it's what it is. Gap up right here. So again, same thing. We're gapping up, yes. All right, but we are gapping up into some daily highs. Again, we're going to be a little careful. I'm going to be taking a lead with the SPX at that 5,900 level. All right, I have no problem getting long off open if it tells me to. Okay, but that 5,900 SPX significant. All right, let's go through the gaps really briefly. GLD. GLD weekly on the left, daily on the right. Yeah, Montu, potentially, right? But yeah, so yeah, just like your famous trade, a week or two ago, right? That was an insane trade. But yeah, you could potentially leg into, right? Because we got a big gap up today, right? And it's kind of, a pause on EU. They're sifting out some news, things like that. But nothing major. Okay, so that 5,900, you could potentially work on 5,900 to potentially attack the lighter negative GEX intros below price. Okay, so if you spike up, you can maybe trap some buyers up there, right? If that's the case. All right. So up to 5,900 into 5,920 is some positive gamma node up there. Indeed. If GLD does come down into these kind of weekly levels here on the left, we got last week's low here. I'm kind of looking at GLD going to gap down here. There's a bunch of there's always gaps on with GLD because how much gold futures moves over the weekend, overnight. But at these levels down in here, if we can kind of get down these levels here, I'm going to start to leg into some more GLD. FYI, okay. And these are the kind of level hit points that I'm looking at. 300, 296.50, 296 half, right, 294 half down in here. All right, some weeklies, okay, on the left. So I'll be interesting there. All right, so this little nice gap down. You could potentially use this gap down to sell some puts lower, okay, but I'm going to be waiting for the level to come into this to get more long convexity, buy shares, long calls, so on and so forth. All right, Apple, spoke a little bit about this already. Now, Apple on the weekly, we talked about this on Monday, on the Monday prep session for the folks, right? So, I'm not going to go to the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. But I got weekly here on the left, I got daily here on the right. You can see a lot of squiggly lines here, right? It's annoying, right? Ugly, almost like an ugly chart. Well, Apple's kind of been ugly a little bit here, right? I guess I can't really say that. I guess if you're a range trader or a low volatility trader, maybe selling some credit spreads and iron condors, you've been having a field day. on this, right? Lack of movement. So you can see on the weeklies, for the past what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, several weeks, right? We can't sustain higher, we can't sustain lower, right? A lot of squiggly lines, VWAP here, VWAP there, we're above it, we're below it, no trend right now, right? So we're just kind of pinched, right? We're kind of pinched, okay? Even the old school kind of options profile probably is just looking like triangular, if you will. Okay, now at some point it's going to potentially break out, right? We have an island gap up here today coming from low range. I will say that, okay? But again, Apple's been a little bit relative weaker. Like if you notice, as you'll notice in a moment when I go to AVGO, for example, AVGO is all the way up here. Okay, what sub 5 to 7% off its all-time highs. Okay, where Apple is not. Okay, so again, relative strength, relative weakness. Okay, we don't have time to explain some of the reasons kind of regarding that right now. Just trading the chart at the moment. Okay, but low range right now set up, albeit kind of trapped, still pinched. Close here. Okay, gap up here, island gap up. Again, not the strongest FANG Magnificent Seven, to say the least. Okay, Amazon slightly similar to Apple in that kind of this annoying kind of triangular pattern here, which is kind of annoying, right? Trying to get pinched out one way or the other here. We have this massive unfilled gap that most things still have to fill down in here. Okay, and then we're just kind of gapped up. Swiped March's high. That was on Tuesday. We were together. If you won that recording, I think we were long. Like get out. We're swiping March's high right now. That ended up being looked like it's going to be the May high, as well as why I focus so much on the monthlies and the weeklies. Okay, and then we came back down and retested April's previous high down in here. So again, bobbing and weaving. Amazon's kind of been everywhere because of the location and the condition that we're in right now on it. Again, so if I go to something like AVGO, okay, now AVGO a bit more relative strength, right? Up, okay, not so quote unquote like triangular, and I'm not emphasizing the triangle pattern or anything like that. It takes 2 seconds just to kind of do that. Everybody on, I'm sure, social media just draws that kind of stuff, right? But we have AVGO here, which is relative strength, okay, and all last week we just kind of held up on this base here. So we have a rally. Okay, and we've just been kind of basing. Now, as you can see, again, we're gapping up here. Now, there's no island gap on this or anything like that. However, this is relative strength. Okay, and so I would not be surprised one bit if we can potentially take out this level right here. There's going to be a ton of liquidity right here above this February high. Okay, so we do have a rally. There's a basing, a massive drop here on the weekly. There's some supply here, indeed. Okay, so we already touched it once. Drop down, right? We already touched it twice, drop down a little bit, cannot drop, right? We touched it 3 times, okay? Drop down a little bit. So the sellers cannot hold this thing down coming out of the supply. The more times that the level gets hit, the supply gets absorbed. Okay, so now we're gapping up again. Okay, we're gapping up. So if I want to attack a relative strength play, okay, I mean, how many times, how much the sellers are already, getting beat a little bit here. So this could potentially pop up into a new, kind of February high. And if we're long up in here, if we get long potentially intraday, okay, and if we do pop higher here on the dailies, I'm going to start to take profit from longs to grab this liquidity. Make sense? Okay, above this February high, which is 238 handle, right? 238 half. All right. So AVGO Broadcom here on my list of relative strength. Google spoke a little bit about this. Now Google is doing its thing here, but again, it's not really trendy. So just be careful with this. But Google has been, over the past week or two, it's been popping. Okay, it's been popping. Intraday, it's been popping. March high up here. Swipe, so gap down. So we'll see how intraday pans out. Tesla, another one that I know it's a lot of stigma on it, etc. Right now at the moment. It always is. There's always drama with Tesla, but it similarly to, not as great as AVGO, but similarly to AVGO, kind of holding up. It's a bit of a base here. Okay, and we do have a gap up here. Last week the past couple of weeks, I should say, we were really looking for what's called squeezes on this. So I want to put this front and center. This is what's called the GAC spot. And I use this for a couple of things. And one of the things I want to put front and center just really quick before this market opens on Tesla. I want to see if there's some sold. some sold call potential squeezes on that, but that will update soon. All right, Tesla did poke into some supply last week up in here. All right, drop down, drop down, drop down. Gap up today. So again, Tesla's been kind of holding its. I got 13 seconds for the open. 60-minute time frame. Kind of holding this range here, so gap up. So see if we can try to clear this level, these levels here. Could be interesting. There's nothing here. It's not that. All right, we switch this over here to the daily and the 2. I just want to take a peek at the internals really briefly. Advanced declines positive 2,000. That's extreme. See if that holds. Valdi up 6 in terms of a ratio. Extreme would be positive or negative 3, so that's extreme. We need to see VIX, kind of pop down a little bit there. But for right now, it's subdued. All right, Tesla, interesting there. All right, SPX official open about 55 handle. Remember that 5,900 level above. It could be a nice little liquidity sweep too, as I'm seeing here. All right, so let me see. Let me switch this computer over here. Meta, holding some bids. Yeah, on YouTube, because of the restream and streaming on multiple platforms, Blessing, it's delayed. I know it's kind of annoying. I don't know if there's a workaround on it because of just the restreaming platform itself, just the way it works. Microsoft relative strength off open. Sometimes the SPX price, Microsoft and Tesla relative strength here. The SPX open price could be. Now, the way market makers open that is a little bit different than the SPYs. Microsoft already kind of going here, already touching kind of a weekly high, which is a little annoying here. Nice little rip off open. Tesla as well. So if you maybe want to pick up the 460s for 395, or you want to get a 30, that's the at the monies. If you want to pick up a 30, 40 delta-ish, this could pull back on you a little bit here. That's going for about 270 here for the 462 half. All right, it's pulling back a little bit there. So if I take this, you can copy this, put this on the call put matrix here. This is a call. All right, so this premium already went from like $1.40-ish to 280. Okay, so you can try to work on a pullback on this here. This is a Microsoft 462 strike call. Okay, you may put in a limit here for like maybe 220 here, so you can get a little bit of a pullback. All right, so put in a bid there. Because I didn't want to chase that up into this weekly high. All right, so again, I got a bid in here. 220 premium price. 462 half strike. All right, looks like it just got filled. Okay, let me get that in my other account. What strike is this? 462 half. All right. All right, loser buys. So it's a day trade here. And options that were already kind of not even getting up into that 5,900 on SPX. MSTR weak. Here's COG. I just want to be a little careful with shorting MSTR as Bitcoin is, at all-time highs for the most part. So you just got to be a little careful with that because MSTR is super connected to Bit. So just got to be a little cautious with that. Be careful with it. Kind of inside bar in the middle of prior day's range. So just be a little cautious with that with Bitcoin up. So Microsoft so far no fall through off its VWAP tag. We're coming off those weekly highs. Being a little patient with that trade. Tesla giving it to us here. Wide range bar off the 5. I'd like to see this positive COG close on the 2. But if I'll prepare this strike, I'm looking to get in even, what is this, the 3, maybe even do maybe the 360. Okay, or the 362 half for about 580. This is 35 delta. If you want to control a little exposure here. All right, so I'm going to get long this here. 362 strike call day trade on Tessie. All right, I'm gonna pull the trigger on that. Okay. All right, we'll see. We could punch above, last week's high. Excuse me. I want to be careful with some bullish exposure. VIX spiked above and trading above its overnight high. For what it's worth, cumulative tick is above its zero line on an uptick cumulatively. Advanced decline still parked up there, kind of at extremes. If this thing kind of dumps out and has some trend lower, that could be a concern. All right, right now, not a lot of fall through. Slightly fall through on the open, just really quick. Look in the first 2 to 5 minutes. So just got to be a little patient here. Yeah, we got NVIDIA earnings coming up too. And looking at this Tesla, there's not much of a squeeze here, so that setup is not too great. But we'll see. NVIDIA GEX. I guess there's a sold call wall here at above 350. So just got to be patient on this. NVIDIA. This week's earnings. This is what a lot of sold calls. Calls are in orange, puts are in purple. To the left are sold, to the right are bought. Customer profile here. So a lot of sold calls on the vid. Massive there's a sold put right here too, 134. So far this market gapped up, kind of quiet right now. No fall through so far on Tesla and Microsoft. So we gotta watch out for this gap up, fade lower. Just being a little bit patient. 59 gamma node. We're kind of on a little bit of a small positive gamma node right now. So, but right a little bit above that, not to micromanage this, but you gotta kind of dig deep into this. There's a little negative GEX right up here. If we can get above this 70 handle on SPX, there's a little negative pocket GEX here. And again, that 5900 is kind of what we're trying to attack there. So where was that at? 70 So there could be a little push right here if this market wants to hold these bids. And first 15 minutes opening days range, we're still kind of inside that, so it could be potentially a first break here. VIX is coming off its highs. All right, so not a strong setup. Maybe we could get some spies. Keep it light risk at the moment. So you do like long call spies here. You just pick up the 586. Basically if you have the monies. 586 strike call for a day trade here. I'll lock in, see if I can get a little pump above that negative GEX, but tape is not really powerful right now. All right, so just lock those in. That's a long call SPY. Keeping it in SPY for now, just because of kind of what I'm seeing in terms of the lack of momentum. All right, you can see Tesla floating down, Microsoft floating down a little bit there. Nothing's telling me to get out, so just be patient. All right, we'll grab some other account. Not the strongest setup in the world. All right, that's the 586 strike call. All right, nothing crazy. But if we could swipe up above this, Thursday daily high, right at that blue line right there, and get into these yellow kind of last week and the prior week VWAP. I'm going to take profit campaign up here. All right. Take profit land up here, right? All right, so you can even throw like limit orders up here on your matrix dome here, if you will. All right, pop one there at one premium here, 169. You see Microsoft, Broadcom. Ooh, Broadcom. This is on my list, and it's kind of following through a lot better than. No, don't leave it on me. Broadcom better than Microsoft and Tesla so far. Microsoft still decent, but AVGO was at the top of my list. And it's going so a little bit of a chase mode right now, which is not ideal. You pick up the 237 half 40 delta. It's going for about 335. It's a little late. You could potentially try to put a limit order in on this. It's showing a bit of relative strength, a lot better than Microsoft, that's for sure. So you could maybe get a $3 fill on these on AVGO, 237.5. Mark Wahlberg looking at AMD fall through. There you go. AMD gets some fall through here. Upside gap fall through. Good job, Mark Wahlberg. Nice one there, brother. Nice little sneaky play. Nice snag. Visa. Just kind of acting up. Visa, if you get a closed green bar above this doji here, pull back off of into the rising 20 moving average. You got monthly up, weekly up, daily up. It's a nice little pullback here, engagement, not only for a day trade, but potentially for a swing. I want to see how this closes. I want this to close above prior day high here, but nice little pullback here. Retest to weekly level, flip on the other side here, close to weekly lows here, slight gap up. Visa might not be too. Visa might be good for a bit of a swing, not just for a day trade. Y'all see that? I could potentially work on this. MSTR fall through down. Good job. Good job. You know, I wouldn't take that just personally in my own personal rules, but if you grabbed it, Steve Hewitt, right? Good job, brother. All right, some fall through there. You know, paint bars, ride tape. You know, try so you can get down in the gap fill here. So tape is doing okay there. All right. So you continue to get some fall through. Google creeping. JP Morgan. Yeah, I'm long spies right now. At least light. NQ's trying to do its thing here. Still, you know, I had mapped out this level, left this level here, 21,189.50, and you know, bouncing off that right now. In the middle of Globex. Google and Nvidia trying to do its thing. Right, I can't even get 10, 20 cents right now in spies. So we're back kind of like mid-range in Globex high, Globex low on NASDAQ futures, Doji bar. So if you caught it at the low range down in here, I think Blessing shouted this out too for us. Good, you caught that little bottom there. So far, no fall through so far. S&Ps it came down to that level too. So right? I kind of mapped that out, 58.70. I put that there, right? Pre-market prep, what have you. So bouncing out of that right now. Now I'm along some SPY calls. So yeah, trying to work bullish side at least for right now. You get Microsoft giving a headache right here. I'm gonna have to cut that because of the VWAP test and failure. All right. You can see AVGO just got filled. Let me snag this in my other account real quick, and let me visit Microsoft because I think I'm gonna have to cut that. All right, that's AVGO. All right, AVGO got filled at $3 on the pullback on premium for the 237.5. SPY's trying to catch some bids. Right, here's Microsoft, 220. They're down 165. Tesla's still holding its VWAP. So SPY's trying to catch a little bit of some bids here, at least for now. You know, I don't like to just cut it because of the premium. This is Microsoft, so you can see it's slightly down here. You already kind of had a VWAP test. I'm not liking the rejection off of that so far. All right, so it's looking like it's going to be a cut. Got filled AVGO right here on the pullback. A little baby pullback there. Google trying to work. Tape's slow today, coming out of holiday. So I don't know how much more risk I want to put on, at least for the YouTube here too as well, right? So we got VIX, you know, sloping down here, right? Kindle tick still higher. SPY's in the small time frame, just putting a little positive COG here. Advanced decline still up there, off their highs, but still, you know, we need more, you know, hold it up. You know, I'm not so married to this bullish side either, right? It's just looking for a look of kind of like for a little swing, little pop, see if we can fill this negative GEX as mentioned, right? Can SPX get up to the 5,900? That'd be ideal. Yeah, we got news coming up. So, you know, Google is giving you a little something there if you wanted to add some more risk. All right, so make sure you get some limit orders. To take profit, TP, right? If we can get that. Roblox. Nice 58.70 tag, pre-market prep on S&P futures. Anybody snag that? Nice little snag there. Yeah, NVIDIA trying to do something too there. I think that's Mark Wahlberg. RBLX. Fall through RBLX, Rolex. Just all-time highs on this. This is a nice little base breakout. Also out of 2 standard deviations now in the monthlies and weeklies, so be sure you take some profit on this. This thing did pop. Base break clear. Nice one here, pretty decent. All right, news is out. All right, this took some profit. Okay, take some profit on some spies. I'll check all the new stuff later. Make sure you TP. Nice entry snag on AVGO. Take some profit on this from 3 to 345 here. At least TP some here. Okay, TP some AVGO. Google follow through. All right, nice little snag here on AVGO. TP means take profit. TP Timmy. NVIDIA, if you snag NVIDIA. Equal to daily high so far. AMD, Mark Wahlberg. There we go, my man. Nice, brother. Hit it, baby. Hit it, babes. Nice one there. All right, SPX at 5880. I'm going to peel out a little bit more of spies here. Tesla about roughly break even, give or take. We need a little pump there on Tesla. Microsoft a dog today. There's some definitely better ones there. Google, AMD, NVIDIA, better, a lot better. So, you can peel out some spies here. From 140 to 180 handle, give or take. All right, I'll check some GEX. We're coming up to some weekly VWAP here, last week's VWAP. So, for the morning session, probably could have did it a little bit better, but we got a team in here, so we got some tickers. We got some tickers. We got some green screen. All right. Send. Yeah, there you go. That's a TP on spies. I think Tesla got us a little something here. Nothing too crazy. It's been up about 10%. Weak. Meta fall through. If you lock on some Tesla here, it's definitely not the breadwinner today. I'm going to peel out of a little more AVGO here too. Google new high. NVIDIA new high. How y'all doing, all right? Other than Microsoft. I could check that for you, Jason Rodriguez. All right, that's a TP Tesla. Tesla's not doing Tesla things right now. So then let me take some more off of AVGO here too, real quick. Nice little entry there from 3 to 380. It just got filled at 385. Not bad. You can hit Tesla a bit here too, right? There we go. There's a nice little pump ski. There goes. Lock some of that in. Tesla usually does this in 2-3 minutes. So Microsoft the dog. So, I mean, I know there's news. I didn't even check it. I'm just trading the tape anyways off of it. So, could this have been the other way and I would have had to cut risk? Yeah. But I'm just trading the tape. So, not monstrous trades by any means here, but not bad to kind of officially kick off the week here. "35 minutes into the sesh." All right, long NASDAQ, S&P futures. Anything that I do in, say, SPX SPY or Qs, that's kind of your cue to hit NASI and NASDAQ futures and or S&Ps. All right, nice little pump, grab liquidity here, right above that daily high. I literally spoke about this yesterday, being Monday, in the prep, about how tomorrow if we gap up, we can target this area for some liquidity. We have some weekly VWAPs rebalancing, so and remember, just stay. Microsoft, give it a little pop. Amazon coming to life. Come on, anybody? Oh, here it is. Is it down? Come on. Come on. Apple and Microsoft got Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts getting Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Run. Hold on. I'll be back. Want anything? Oh, somebody wanted me to check something. Jason Rodriguez. Does Tesla have a 1, 2, 3 go on 15-minute? Let me enter that now before I go on a weird TED Talk or something. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, it is because usually you have like a small red body here, right there, but you have a wide range bar, right? And you want this to be the first bar to be like a nice belt hold, wide range bar, kind of closed green in this particular case, right? Then a small body range holding the upper third, and then break up a 1, 2, 3 go pattern. So good job, Jason. Good job, indeed. Right. And so while Tesla was kind of like floating down a little bit on us there, right? And we have, it basically was just holding up its upper third range against that wide range bar off 15. And then we got a pop, 1, 2, 3 go, TP, TP, TP. So indeed. Google. Still in Microsoft. Anybody snag Google? Oh, this thing cleared yearly view up too. Dang it. This thing's a good one here. All right, I'm gonna unload a little more spies here. And I'm always missing Google trades. It's annoying. It's weird. Mark Wahlberg caught AMD. I'm going to peel out a little bit more spies here. Why am I not long Google? It's beyond me right now. All right, I just peeled out some more spies here. And okay, so like for what it's worth, we did have a little bit of a hot pocket right here, negative GEC. So kind of sifted through that a bit there, which is cool. Ultimately, can we get up to 5,900 on SPX? About 20 points away, give or take from that, right? Seems like it'll just be pretty easy to get up there. NVIDIA's barely, yeah, because right now we're getting a slow grind tape. Jason Rodriguez. So that's with options, that's the more annoying thing is data decay. Something like Google right now, AMD, maybe AVGO. Can you add to that camp too? Meta creeping or already crept and still is creeping. They're a little more faster moving at the moment, like just moving a little bit more. So, albeit NVIDIA is doing some stuff here. Barely broke it. We still got time. I mean, you could go on a little bit of a pop. It seems like it wants to, right? If SPX gets closer to that 5,900, I'd be a little bit more wary of that. But this thing's moving a little bit more slower. Plus what you're dealing with right now, if you're trading, and I should have mentioned this, Roblox, good one, big mover here, but it's cheap stock here. So, but I'm not downplaying that. That's a nice mover. Let's go, right? It's a good one. But just in terms of speed, the movement, relatively speaking. But also what you're working with or dealing with right now in regard to NVIDIA, even if you're day trading it, is right now you have a higher implied vol. No, don't switch. Okay, there we go. You're getting a higher implied vol because of the earnings this week, right? So options prices are just going to be remain kind of pumped and elevated. So maybe not as gamma sensitive as we have a higher vol at the moment. Vol meaning not volume, volatility. MQ ripping, there we go. Fang kind of waking up and following through a bit more here. Could push market up a bit, up into that 59 handle SPX. NASDAQ, Globex high, TP if you're long. So not bad to kick off the week officially here. All right, nice little hammer bar, follow through. Boom. Not bad. All right, Globex high. So that suggested TP some. Let me take my own advice here. Lock out of some more spies. And that S&P futures level rocked. Super low volume right now. So man, just simple kind of demand supply mechanics. Nasdaq stronger than S&Ps at the moment. So I'm gonna lock out a little bit more here of Tesla. Yeah, I trade the same way with futures. Yeah, in fact, I should be showcasing a little bit more of my futures talents here. All right, that was an easy trade in the morning, just to pop the limit orders in. I just keep some more Tesla. It's just tape. One thing you'll realize about markets, doesn't matter what it is, it's just price action and tape, price and time. Buyers and sellers, wrong side, right side, and human emotion. And so kind of just want to attack human emotion. So it's like it's it's pretty trading is simple. It's not easy. It's simple. It's pretty simple in nature, but it's not easy, right? Usually because of the human being psychological effect. Humans mess it up, but it's pretty simple. But this was a drop, a basing, and a rally that popped up into a new high. So drop, base, rally. Think about somebody sold down here. Somebody sold short down here, thinking that the that was going to continue to go down, right? And what they did was do what? They sold into a level of demand in the context of an uptrend with a high segment that made right there. That's a level of control right there. Doink. I mean, that's demand supply 101, bro. my 7-year-old understands that. Right? But somebody, for whatever reason, and there's 1,000 million and one reasons because everybody does weird stuff within trading, right? Somebody literally, ding, 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 market open, we flushed down a little bit on SPYs, okay, and S&P futures right down in here. Somebody sold short into that demand zone right there, right there, that origin of a demand zone. Somebody did that. Not us. It's pretty simple. And if we're broke, a G trap here, and that's it. And if we're breaking, potentially short. Then we would potentially short if we saw that we were above VWAP. So we did one little flush, right? I'm going to TP some more SPYs here. Microsoft's still in the game. All right, let me grab this two handle. Let me grab this two handle here on SPYs. So I go heavier in options than say futures, and I can control my risk just a bit more in in options. So that that's the reason why. But for the record, I should just be placing these orders in here on these G traps. I used to do that a lot more when I was in trading in front of people a lot more. My live account, I was bringing it up, and I would religiously start out with the G traps, and put the limit orders in. All right, Tesla on a bit of a new high here, so I'm going to pay a lot of some there. NVIDIA new high. Let me grab this Tesla. I just locked out of some more SPYs here, right? So I'm long this market right now. So if I'm taking profit in SPYs, and if you're trading futures off of this, I would suggest to maybe pale some out too as well. All right, as I got to do right now in Tesla, so I gotta grab it. Microsoft still hanging around just a little bit. Needs a pop, but these are down here for the record here, 25 cents. But we're getting it elsewhere. That said, let me grab Tesla here. Slow. Traders are hung over from the weekend. I just chilled, had a couple beers, nothing too crazy for me. Small cookout, nothing crazy. That's Tesla TP. It was spies. NVIDIA new high. You might be getting your Pumpski on that right now a little bit, Jason Rodriguez, maybe. Yeah, Memorial Day is. Shout out to the veterans, passed away and alive. But yeah, you guys gotta remember why we got that day off. Or that day off, it's a pretty big deal. But yeah, usually people celebrate it by family, friends, food, alcohol, and other things. So if everybody is safe. Yeah, Joe Frank. Oh my God! You just right before I looked at that, I was about to just mention like, okay, this SPX, I'm gonna try to ride these spies up. Right? And by the way, real quick, Joe Frank, the man. As you're riding spies up, make sure you take these stop losses, right? Right? We're TPing. I'm trying to ride, right? And now let me peel off another contract here real quick. Doing real quick. There we go. And set it. And we got stop loss now. We can start to trail. If Microsoft would move its butt, then maybe we'd be running perfect right now, but it's all good. You need a loser. Can't be all winners, right? So trail. This is another impulse right here. So you can trail the 20 of the VWAP right here, at least put it right here. So this stop loss beyond break even potentially. Y'all filled at 142, at least my fill there, right? So you trail your stop loss here. 164, 162. Lock in. All right, and then whatever you got left, start to TP as we start to approach this 5900 SPX. Visa. You can even see the team in here. Great. All tickers running except for Microsoft, and I'm the only one that recommended Microsoft, so I'm wrong. Well, not wrong yet, but we'll see. Most likely. So TP Visa on a more important note. AMD equal to high here. About to pop. Mark Wahlberg caught this. There it is, new high. 115 handle. Distribute. Can you follow 3 lines in 2 colors? in the proper context and location. If so, you can be a good trader. If not, and a lot of people can't, follow simple stuff, they suck. Me being one of them way back in the day. Yep, Real Deal Neil TV. Yes, indeed. Why did I take Tesla? Great question. We got, we are into a little bit of some supply. I talked about that a bit in the morning. You can maybe watch the YouTube recording on that. Tesla's been kind of, like Apple and say like Amazon have been like pulled back a lot more. Tesla's kind of been holding up upper echelon of this, impulse move here, upper third range, kind of similar to what Jason was asking about a 1, 2, 3 go, but this is not the same here. But impulse, we just started at base. We touched this weekly supply a couple times here. Okay, there's a weekly supply level indeed in there, right? We dropped that back down, dropped that down off of that, and this morning we had a gap up, and gap up. So this is the range, right? Range. So this is low range on the intermediate time frame, small time frame on 1 hour here. And of course, this is the upper range here, right? So we kind of gapped up and cleared a couple of, cleared this daily high. AMD had a better one. A couple of them had a better one here, right? But Tesla's one of my favorite things to trade. Not because of Elon, even well before all this stuff. It always has been for years and years and years, well before. But anyways, we gapped up and we kind of cleared this stuff here. So a little bit of what's called a pain gap. Not the greatest one here, but that's typically the reason why. Then we were holding above its VWAP. We had what's called a wide range bar off open on the 5 here, on the 5-minute intermediate. Okay, so I started to work on long here. Longs here. Right, under bar off open, then it's just based on VWAP, got a little bit of a pop. Right, so we're above, right? So, and if I look at the monthly, we're above the 20, we're above the 20 here, we're above the 200, we're above the 20, we're above the 200, and the 20 period moving average is above the 200 across the board here on the monthly, weekly, daily, on the 1 hour time frame, right? Because what I'm trying to do is filter my edge, right? SPY's new highs, let's go. Filter my edge, right? So on the intermediate 1 hour time frame, here's the 20 EMA, here's the 50. We're above. Basing. And the 20 EMA is above the 50 EMA, rising up, right? Low base range, gap up. On the 30-minute, same thing. 20, 50, above, low base range, up. On the 5-minute, here's the 20, here's the 200. We gapped up above that. Here's VWAP above that. So notice what I'm saying. Everything is above. On the 2-minute, above VWAP, above the 20, above the 200. Above the 20 is above the 200. So on the monthly, the weekly, the daily, the 60-minute, the 30-minute, the 5-minute, the 2-minute, is everything aligned up above with a gap up, with a slight pain gap up. So that's the reasons why I got long Tesla and I had a green bar, wide range bar off open, right, to put a stamp on this gap up clear. That's it. And then I'm looking for positive COGs, green bar, take out reds. Green bar, take out reds on proper location on pullback. So does that make sense? I want the moon, the stars. I want everything to line up. I don't know, Abdul, on Dow Future, I'm looking at this 6,000 positive gamma node here right now. I'm going to TP some more SPYs, but make sure if you're trading Dow Futures or even NASDAQ futures. When the SPX gets up into that 59, this thing is only getting more blue, darker blue. So that's more stronger here. Okay. So work longs. But if and when SPX gets up to be like a robot, right? If and when SPX gets up to this 5,900, 5,905 price point, okay, be very careful with longs, right? Now we could still break this level, but there's going to be potentially some kind of pullback, at least off this level. All right, what Joe Frank was making me do here, this kind of condition in order at 5,900, potentially for this is going to be a take profit on longs. I got to do that right now. Up here, take profit on longs, and then we could take a potential mean reversion. short up or around here. At the 5,900. So I just, with that little chat right there, I just gave away about 30 something odd cents there, which it's not a super big deal, but and this just looks like algorithmic right here. All right, 30-minute bar just closed. 30-minute bar did give us a hammer there too. Do you still think S&P will 59.44, 59, 59, 59.44 is like up here. You know, that's up here. That's a massive supply level right there. I mean, of course, we could get up there, but one thing I will say is this 5,900, 59 into 5,900, 59.10 SPX, at least for the early part, kind of like morning, late morning, early afternoon, is going to provide some supply there. NVIDIA TP, Amazon following through. So we would have to get above this massive positive gamma node here. 44 is up here. Now, one thing I will say is there is negative GEX above here too. So if we do get up into the 30 and the 40, you know, there could be some slice up. However, you know, we're climbing a very steep uphill battle right now at 5,900. So be careful with that. But also, if I look at the 44, there's there's a pocket of negative GEX above here. But there's a massive supply level right in there too, so want to be a little bit careful with that. So, you know, it might not happen like this, but we'll see if, you know, this could, you know, look something like this. So, you know, pull a high on day VWAP. Right now, we're already kind of trading above that at the moment for now. This is daily VWAP for today. So kind of, you know, we're a ways from that. I always say account for a VWAP test. This is a prior daily high from last Thursday that we broke. So, you know, you almost want to be selfish in saying that, you know, maybe we could do something like this where we come up here, okay? That'll give you a chance to, you know, unload, distribute your longs, maybe leave a runner or two on, okay? But then you could, right? And the cool thing about options is you know, you can remain long call, okay? And then you can buy a put, right? And be a long put too. Right now, futures, you'd have to, if you want to remain in long futures, you'd have to have a separate account and, you know, ride runners long on futures in the event that this level did kind of just broke through, because it is just a, you know, retest level and gamma node there, massive one, okay, but doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work, right? Very powerful, right up there, but as mentioned. In futures, you'd have to do it in a separate account. Like you'd have to have 2 accounts minimum, right? Ride the winners long, okay? Maybe not give up your initial entry, potentially down here, okay? TP, maybe put stop loss break even, let it rip, okay? And then you can get short S&P futures for a mean reversion. So that would be ideal. If we came up here, got in, take some profits, dumped our longs, right? Stop loss break even on longs, try to ride up while you're working on kind of a new ticket, open new risk for a potential, just a short-term, short mean reversion off of this, Right? Does that make sense? So kind of like that's the plan of attack. All right, and there's daily VWAP, so track that daily VWAP. Right, I have this phrase that I always say, count for a daily VWAP test. Account for a daily VWAP test. All right, anybody who's trying to buy a pair now, if we spike up into like 59, 5900, 5902, 05, 07 handle, okay, so and then we just like spike up there. That's going to tell me like, whoa, who's trying to buy a pair now, right? We're away from this VWAP, last week's VWAP here. We're away from that. So that's, and you get some wide range bars up here. You don't want to chase those positive COGs. That's almost going to tell me that, this thing's ready to kind of mean revert. All right. And so like if over the next hour or two, and have you, if this thing unravels the way it does, you can have daily VWAP. This might be like triggered, like, right, this might come up over here. Okay. And then if in the event that we do get a quote unquote pullback, mean revert, okay, this is where I'm going to be doing what? Taking profits on some of the shorts. If we get it, right? Right, so like right now we're in quadrant 3 and 2 here on dailies. Right, now we might get a pullback down first, and this is where if we get a pullback down first, and what the great one is saying on, well, he's answering a question here on IG. With COG, do you need multiple green bars taking up red, or just one strong bar? One green bar taking up red, or one more? Yeah, it could be one, could be multiple, and he already answered that for you, which is great. And great one is the man. And location of it in the right ones of positive and negative COG are more important. I'm not looking at every single red bar, take out green bar. Okay, the right ones. And what does the right one mean? Well, I'm giving a lot of stuff out here on YouTube today and Instagram, but you remember the prior example where I took a live trade off this, where looking at everything above alignment, right? Monthly, weekly, daily, up, and I just went on the whole like TED talk, 60-minute, 30-minute up, right? So once I have that condition, right, and once I have that setup, right, then I'm looking for positive COGs kind of on the smaller time frames here to give me my entry, okay, to give me an entry. All right, so like for example, like here's a wide range bar here, all right. Then we have like red bar, and then you see this green bar right there. This is a green bar, okay? That literally, right, red bar, and it's off VWAP, right? That white dash line is VWAP. So this is a positive COG. This is not even a great one right here, right? Right, we got a great one in here on IG right now. The great one, he's a Phantom member, right? But this is not even like a stellar trading setup bar right there, right? Sometimes it is, a lot of things right now are just like slow grind, all right? But that is a case where we have a positive COG back above, right? Red bar. I just took one. Now, if I look at the 2-minute time frame here, okay, you can see like it took the red bar. But see this one, it didn't close above that red right there. So this one officially was where it 100% lined up where I had the 5-minute, the 2-minute, the small time frames, right? Lined up, positive COG back above VWAP, daily VWAP, above the 20, above the 200, above the 20, above the 200, everything above there. That's a nice little pop right there. See you later, gone. Okay. AMD was a good one here today. Mark Wahlberg caught this. Right? Now check this out. Now I'm not saying this to be better or worse. This is just a small teaching moment. I'm not saying, right? I have no ego. Okay? I have no ego here. Right? So don't misconstrue, don't misconceptualize me here, right? Don't take me out of context. Now, if I am looking at the filtration process, okay, Mark Wahlberg caught a beautiful trade today on AMD. Beautiful, nice one. Okay. Now, but if I'm looking at the process of filtration, if I look at the monthly, the weekly, and the daily, if I look at the monthly, is AMD trading below the 200? We're trading below that. Okay. So he's going long, but it's going against a monthly vibe, right? And that's okay, but you have to be aware of that, right? Now, if I look at if AMD on the weekly, we're on the 200 here, flat 200 to 20 period moving averages right here. We are trading above the 20 EMA right here. Okay. But you can see the 20 is kind of trading a bit below that 200. right? And if I look at the daily time frame, we're above the 20 EMA. Okay, great in terms of price action. Okay, but the 20 EMA is below 200. So, if I look at something just to compare, like a Tesla versus an AMD, for example, from the top-down multiple time frame analysis approach, Tesla's a bit more aligned with the because I get the monthly, the weekly, and the daily all giving me one side, right? So this was a harder trade to do. I'm happy it worked out, right, for my man Mark Wahlberg. Okay, but just in terms of filtration processes, super important, right? Super important. Now, if I look at the 60-minute or the intermediate time frame, okay, we're above that 20, we're above the 50, nice gap up here, clear, right? Boom, small time frames. Okay, and on the 30-minute time frame, we're above the 50, we're above the 200, but you can see it's 20. The 50 is darker blue, the light blue is the 20. Okay, but the 20 is below the 50. So again, not 100% like quote unquote, oh my God, lined up. So like, should Mark Wahlberg definitely be liquidating some as we approach this little intermediate supply level up here? Indeed, right? Especially given the fact that it's not 100% lined up with the multiple time frame top down approach, right? On the 5, we're above, good there. So the small time frames worked out very great. Okay, but a little small teaching moment there. All right. And that kind of goes in hand with the positive, negative COG. I'm looking for the right ones, not all. I'm looking for the right ones in alignment. Apple, a little pop here. This is Thinkorswim. I trade options on Thinkorswim. I trade futures on TradeStation and Trade08. Of course, this is our trading view. And for Forex, I use Oanda, whatever they call it. All right, I'm just going to probably cut my runners on Tesla here. Just going to flatten out Tesla here. Flat means all out. Not a monster trade, but I'll keep my gains here. Yeah, Apple's still inside, indeed, Mark Wahlberg. Exactly. Apple's been hard, man. It's just, I haven't really touched it in a little while now, even day trade wise. That was Tesla, me flattening out here, just for the record here. If you're still in some, I'm flat now, meaning out. It can still pop there, but I'm just controlling my exposure, at least for right now. And I bought those contracts for like $6. So, if this thing swipes, down VWAP test, maybe even goes lower, those contracts could hurt me a little bit, even on some runners. So I'm just protecting gain. I got green screen right now. Microsoft being a little weird. Still not done for the day, of course, but I just want to protect my gains. It's not a monster day by any stretch. The S&Ps and NASDAQ futures probably had one of the better trades this morning here from that level. All right. So this hot pocket lower, we can still try to attack this thing here. So what I'm going to price out real quick for the tube and folks in here is if SPX gets up to 5,900 or 5,905, maybe we could pick up, say, the negative GEX, the low price is 90 to 75 handle-ish. So let me map that out here. $90 to about 75. So I'm kind of selfishly hoping that it pops up here so we can get a nice little price. But 90 is like right below price, essentially. So this is holding up on a thin kind of thin ice here, if you will, right? Grandma used to say that to me. Yeah, you're back your bad. You're being a punk, man. You're on thin ice right now. I'm about to smack you. Uh, so this thing below, just be careful. So I'm kind of hoping that this thing touches this 5900, and we can attack this negative gags here. Call this the Montu hot pocket trade. So maybe if we pick up, say, the 58, the SPX. So I want to go a little bit out of the money, slightly out of money for cheaper to control some risk for you folks here. Mr. Blue, price ES price is staying around 30 points above SPX price. Is that because the spread my broker is charging, or is it ES futures usually a higher price? Yeah, S&P futures is the futures. SPX is the spot price. So typically, yeah, futures are typically in a higher price. Typically, yes. So that's not the spread. That's just the relationship between S&P futures and spot. We actually have some suppressive orange means suppressive, meaning selling. So we have positive gamma and orange, which is suppressive charm up here, so selling. So there's a lot of things happening up here at the 5900 to 5910 handle. All right, and we're looking like we might be able to get this here. All right, again, I'm just trying to ride these SPY calls here. And let's see. Let me see if I can price this out for us. Dark blue gamma mean is a positive gamma node. You have to know how market maker exposure works on that. That's definitely a heavy topic. But just to answer your question very briefly, since we're trading below that 5900 and we have a massive positive gamma node above it, as the prices are rallying up, market makers going to be selling futures into that as they're hedging. Okay, so here's current price. As we go up into this green positive blue gamma node right there, okay, as prices rally up, okay, market makers going to be selling into this, and that's the most simplest way that I could put it, at least for right now. There's a whole thing. We do hours and hours. I'm not trying to like hide data, where Phantom members know they've gone through this class with myself, okay, and some of the guys here at Options Dev, but it's a deep lesson. It's a deep concept, but hopefully that helped just a little bit there. This is going to be some selling hedge flows happening up here at 5900 and a little bit above. All right, so suggestion to take profit from longs and mean revert short. Now, what I'm going to plan for here is SPX. What if we get up to 59? I'm going to put two price slices here. $5,900. To 59. I'll do 50, 59.10 to give the range. Let me TP some more what? TP some more SPYs as we make new highs. All right, and let's see what this looks like. For example, if I were to pick up I don't want to get too deep out of the money, but even at 58, we got low vol here, so we got 58.70. would be 58.65. 70 is below right around that low gamma node there, but it's going for about $3 now. However, if we get up to say 5 points up to 5,900, this will be about $88 cheaper, give or take. So if I take well, let's just do $3 because prices are moving here. You can see, right? Minus about maybe 90, it could be about 210. Okay, for the 58.70 strike. Not only be about 30 points away, it'll be about a 20 delta. I'm sorry, it'll be a 14 delta. 14 delta if it gets up to 5,900 for this 58.70. So that's about $2 of risk if you're gonna do total premium risk exposure. VWAP right now is 77, so if you pick up the 58.70 strike as we get up here, that's not going to be too far out of the camp. So if we drop down and just mean revert, those puts could be going a little bit of a printing fail trip. That's probably the lowest I would go. 58.70, you can get that under like $2 or $2. If I can get this for like $2, that wouldn't be too bad. If it gets up to about 59.10, okay, this will probably be about $100. You can still get that, but if it gets up to 59.10, I might want to roll. I might still be in these because I locked this in at 59. But if you get up to like 59.10, well, I might want to roll up my put strike to 58.80. So I'll uncheck that, and if this gets up to if we get up to SPX price 59.10, and I were to say pick up the, if I were to pick up the 58.80 right now, it's going for $5. However, if we get up to 59.10, it'll be $320 less than 510. So I'll do $5 minus 320. So you maybe get the you can get the 58.80 strike put for $2 or a little bit lower if SPX gets up to 59.10. Right. So in other words, in English, two hit levels here that I'm looking at: 5,900 and then 59.10, kind of as a zone, right? So that said, this is a positive gamma node. So if we get up into 5,900, you could potentially deploy the 58.70 strike. So 5,900, you can buy the 58.70 bot put strike. Right now, if we go up and it goes deeper into the level, into the upper end of the positive gamma node, well, I want to roll. I'll still be in the 70s because I priced those out. But if we get up here, I want to buy the 58.80. So I'm rolling my delta up by 10 points in terms of strike price. Okay, so I'd be looking at these two puts. The 80 for a mean revert. Is this making some sense to some, at least? All right. Hold on, I messed up. Typo. This one's going to be 5,900, which is the lower level or the first level, right? All right, I made a typo here, so let me fix that. If SPX hits 59.10, which is the upper level, there we go. Okay, so the strikes are over here at 80 and 70. All right, with the condition of we have to, of course, like, let's go, get up in there into that positive gamma node. All right, so you can put an alert if it gets there, hit market, but sometimes it might just tag it real quick, and you might not be fast enough to hit market. So you can put a conditional order there. All right, this thing could just get popped up. We could just pop right through it, or so you can just put a conditional order. I'll do this one here first, right? So I'm going to do, I can right click right on this one here. I'm going to deploy the 5870. Right click on this because I'm on the analyze tab, analyzing risk, as I just did, and price slicing. Create duplicate order. And on the settings over here, I can pop this open and say, okay, I bought this SPX, May 27th today, 0 GTE, 5870 strike, put not at $330 limit, right? I can buy it. I have no problem buying it at market. SPX, a little bit of slippage, pretty decently tight. It's okay. And then the conditions here, if SPX is equal to or above market price, right? Market price, SPX market price is equal to or above, and then here put 5,900. This is the supply zone above, right? Or gamma node above, right? We're trading 58.94, 93. So if SPX gets to equal to 5,900 or above, this will trigger, right? If it gets to 5,900, okay, right? Mark price equal to alligator multiple over here, more than, right? Equal to, right? Equal to or above. It also tells you up here. Okay, and then buy that put. Okay, save that and send that. Right, and so therefore that's a conditional order already parked up there. All right, and I'll show you all that here, right? All right, so you see it says like market order, but it's not a market order right now. It has to hit the condition of 5,900. All right, and then what I do here usually is I'll take this in preparation. If it gets filled, I'll right click, copy this code, the premium code, go over to my call put matrix here, as we kind of call it at Phantoms. This is a put, right? So I'll usually put calls on the left and I'll put puts on the right. So I'll just like park that right here, Control V in this space, okay? And then if and when I get filled, if SPX gets to 5,900, it's probably about what, probably about $2, what we say, $2.10, give or take, right? You have to go a little bit more higher, all right, to get this filled. Well, then I'll have this already kind of prepped and ready to go, all right, to make executions off of very quickly if need be. Another high on day view up. And you'd want that to hit earlier, sooner than later. Mr. Blue, how many monitors do you have? My main one is 4. And then I got another machine. I'm working off this machine right now, which is like my streaming computer, which is kind of not my main. I wouldn't consider it. That's 2. And then I got like another 2. So what is that, 4? 5, like 8. Kind of a lot. It's kind of weird, but I usually have I have a machine over here that I trade my other Thinkorswim accounts, my IRA, and my SPX account. But I'm gonna have to get a new main machine because it's kind of getting a little old now, and I gotta update. Yeah, I don't need all of that. Well, I mean, just 2 screens for you folks here streaming when I'm running live trade rooms and streaming. That's just, if I wasn't doing that'd be out, right? And then I got my main 4, and then I got my main 4 panel, and then I got 2 for my IRA and trading accounts. But I keep it simple, right? Like I got 1 screen just for FANG. Like I got FANG. I'm looking at FANG. I got Apple, Amazon, Broadcom, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia, Tesla. Just on that dedicated for like 1 screen right there, just so I can keep an eye. I don't even move it really that much. Just make an adjustment here and there. So I know what the mag kind of 7, mag 8 is doing always. So I can react. All right, folks, I think I'm going to bang out of here. Hopefully y'all doing okay. Kind of a slow grind tape to the beginning of the week. I'll give you a one last look at options depth here. $59.10, $59.00, $59.00, $59.10. Pretty interesting. All right, we just spoke about that. Now everything is good except for Microsoft. It's down about 70 cents. So that's essentially the only thing here. All right, cool. So yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, TradePhantoms.com. And that's the main website. Everybody at Phantoms kind of started here, right? Click register if you're new. Put your name, email, whatever. Register. For a free get what do they call it? Like workshop, whatever, training session, free session Thursday 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And here's the agenda. All right, y'all can read that. And hosted by Mr. Black and Mr. Green. I think Mr. Green's doing it this week. It's Thursday, so yeah, you can check that out. All styles of trade, stock, futures, forex, options, even crypto, right? Long term and short term, right? And kind of a one-stop shop for everything. Real deal, real trading. If you like it, great. If not, great as well. All good. I'll see some of you Phantoms members later in the class. Welcome to a new week. Holiday is over. And time to rip it up, rip tape. Blue out. God bless. Take care. Peace.